I've been asked the question, what is the difference between sister locks and bespoke locks? It's actually easier for me to respond this way than a text. Sister locks has a grid formation. Bespoke locks has no grid. Sister locks gave me a card which had specific sizing for the border, for the sides, for the central. I can remember one of it being 1/8. And I remember when I first was a trainee, I would use the card to check to see whether I've given the right size in the right zone or area, because it's that rigid, it's that specific. And there's like, you have to count. There's number of locks at the crown, number of locks at the back. Like, it's grid formation. It's a bit of a mathematical calculation. Bespoke locks is just spontaneous. So I consider everybody's edges are different, and I consider the edges. I consider how the hairline is. Everyone has a hairline all around their head. So when I part it in a way where it's just very organic. It's kind of complementary to the outline of the person's head. So, and it's not rigid. And where there's lines that are a must, that always are there, bespoke has not got any rigid lines. So even if lines are created, which naturally happens when the creation of bespoke locks happens, those lines could be covered quite quickly, very quickly, because dependent on what's going on in the person's lifestyle, in their head, the sizing will change. For example, if your locks were done quite small, and now you've decided you want to have very long locks, then those locks would have to be thickened. Therefore, you'd have to cross the lines. So the way I work is very organic. It's whether the person has decided they want to travel for a while, whether they're going through postpartum, whether there's stress, whether the person has changed their mind. I don't want to have my lock short anymore. I need it long. I have to strengthen the base at all times, and I'm ready to adapt. And the sizing is very organic and dependent on, the lifestyle of the person or whatever's happening on the head. So also, Sister Locks has a tool. There's a Sister Locks tool. So actually, what Sister Locks is officially is the tool. So if you use the Sister Locks tool, then officially you have Sister Locks. But if you copy the grid formation and do everything and don't use a Sister Locks tool, you actually officially do not have Sister Locks. And that was explained to me by my previous consultant. If you think about it, you can't trademark, you can't own African texture hair. We're born with it. And those partings, the grid lines, have existed way, way, way before Sister Locks so-called discovered it. It's equivalent to when the colonials went to Africa and discovered Africa, when Africa already existed. The partings, the lines have all existed previously. It's just that what Sister Locks was able to do was package it and present it with great marketing. And so it looks like they have ownership of it, but they do not, basically. It's really all they can protect is their tool. Sister Locks is installed and created via an interlocking method, and it's against the clock. So it's on the hour, past the hour, quarter past the hour, half past the hour, quarter to the hour. And I think there's like, if I can remember right, there's rotation 4 and rotation 3, which means nothing to me. I don't understand it. Bespoke Locks is created and maintained through my personalized knotted locks technique. And the whole intention behind why Bespoke Locks is different from Sister Locks is I felt like I had to become the solution. As much as I was a fan of Sister Locks, I found that I was meeting and seeing a lot of ladies who had Sister Locks, but their hair was so disturbingly thin, lifeless, bodiless, and they still had the grid. And the grid bothered me because we weren't born with lines in our head. It's the most disturbing thing when, I know what my hair means to me. I know what my hair means to me. I know what our hair means to us with the history of what's happened to us as Black women and our hair, and to finally find a solution. And then to see that that solution's not working and feeling completely lost. So you keep going through this same practice, sitting in the same chair, and you can see your hair growing, but you're telling yourself, well, it should work. They've said it will give me fullness, but long term, mature sister locks, we're looking thinner and thinner. So I just thought I'm going to work towards a solution. I'm just going to work towards, and this is the finished product really, Bespoke Locks, where I began to realize the grid was causing a problem. The rules on the sizing, the rotation, it was just too many things to remember while being creative and operating on a head of a woman that I begin to feel connected. I begin to understand her lifestyle. I realized the rigidity of the practices that were taught to me was just not going to work for that energy in my chair. And also with regards to the sizing, Bespoke Locks, the sizing is very organic and it's not regimented. Sister Locks teaches various sizes in various areas. Bespoke is small really. It's mostly smaller than Sister Locks, and even and equal. There will be disparities, differences in sizing naturally, but generally it's equal sizing. It's not as like the difference when I learned Sister Locks between one size being placed in one area of the same head and another was too major for me. This is one of the things that made me uncomfortable because it felt like a bit of a illusion. It explained why my locks looked flat when I first had it installed and why I see so many flat locks. So what I would say is Sister Locks is much more regimented and Bespoke is much more freestyle creation, organic, I would say. That is the difference, and ready to change, to adapt to the person's lifestyle, the person's strand type, because strands do change over the years, and density. Much more adaptable and much more organic, because the idea is it looks like you were born with Bespoke Locks. That really is the idea. But for you to get that effect, it's continually being present on the lock, observing any changes and adapting my hand. You can see some locks are sticking out. Can you see my growth? And that's because it's knotted, you see? Because it's knotted, it can stay like this for a while. And I'm lucky the texture hair I have enables me to, for my locks to be easily separated. I'm on an 8-week cycle. Sister Locks has 6 weeks cycle. And now I'm pushing people to 9-10 weeks. I'm always creating. So what I do on my hair and all that I've learned, I apply to everyone's hair. So you will notice that there's short locks coming through, and that's because I'm always adapting and creating, basically. I hope this answers your question, what the difference is between Sister Locks and Bespoke Locks. Thank you for watching this. Take care, bye. Ask away and I'll try and do a post to respond. Bye.